Hello, and welcome to the very first episode of Midnight Movie Madness. This week, we review The Babadook.
Where'd you get this?
On the shelf.
If it's in a word or it's in a look, you can't get rid of the Babadook. A rumbling sound, then 3 sharp knocks.
Babadook, dook, dook.
That's when you'll know he's around. You'll see him if you look.
Hi, welcome to Midnight Madness. In our very first session, you get to experience all the delightfulness of our mistakes and errors as we go for the first time to do this.
Did you mean Midnight Movie Madness?
Midnight, whatever.
We don't even know the name of our podcast.
It's okay. We'll figure it out as we go.
All right, it might turn into something else, like the symbol formerly known as Movie Madness or something. Who knows?
So we watch horror films. We're going to try to mostly stick to Netflix when we can, so it's easier to view, but there will be certain gems from occasion that
Such gems.
just absolutely need to be watched, and you'll just have to figure out how to do that on your own.
If you're a real fan, you're going to do it.
Yeah, like our very first one this week is going to be Babadook, and I had to watch it on Amazon Prime.
And I watched it in the theater because I'm crazy, and I'm lucky enough to be living in LA, so...
Aren't you special?
Well, I'm just very privileged to be living in LA because they have lots of good time screenings that you don't get anywhere else, which I...
I might have
that's why I live
actually
here.
had a chance to watch it, but I didn't even know anything about it until it came to video. Like, I didn't hear anything about it until you sent it to me. You're like, oh my goodness, watch Babadook. And I'm like, Babadook? Babadook? Like, I just kept trying to search the wrong thing over and over.
Yeah, girl,
again.
you gotta get on that, you know.
You'd be surprised how many searches I came up with, too.
The garble bop?
Yeah.
Is it the bad boop?
Yeah, I found out most boogeymen actually have these weird, bizarre rhyming names, like Baba Yaga, Babadook, Papa Legba, like, they're all kind of...
I think, okay, sure. Because it's fun for kids to say.
I don't know. Yeah, I guess it's something, I don't know, if it's got kind of one of those, like, it's got its own rhyme, then the child will remember.
The child.
The child, or the adult.
So we're a couple of strangers at this point. Let's go ahead and introduce ourselves.
Are we saying real names?
I don't care. Do whatever you want. My name is Reginald Huxtable. I can't even say it.
Huxtable.
Huxtable? No, I'm not. Huxtable's not a cool name anymore because, stuff.
Oh,
Allegedly.
Yeah. Well, I still use it for reservations.
Okay. Well, that's fine. But then they, give you an eye later to make sure you're not putting anything in the drinks.
Mm-hmm.
My name is Crystal.
I'm Monica.
And, we're horror movie fans. We met in college and hit it off immediately because of our morbid interests, and we just keep watching horror movies, and
it's kind of like an addiction, actually. Like, I find that if I don't fill my quota of horror films, I start getting the shakes.
Yeah, I feel really uncomfortable without them. I mean, sometimes I get into a mood where I just want to watch Downton Abbey, but, it's kind of a horror movie sometimes.
Yeah.
In a British melodrama sort of way.
Yeah, British melodrama, politics, and sophistication, and you're not drinking your tea the right way. Such horror.
Well, yeah.
Actually, it's more like who's sleeping with who and who's, backstabbing who.
Yes. I mean, the thesis statement is, Maggie Smith. She's always like, oh, I do love a good intrigue. Oh, I love seeing behind the curtains. Oh, what is a weekend? So she's the thesis statement. If you ever want to watch Downton Abbey, she'll explain everything.
Anyway.
So The Babadook.
Yeah, it's a great film. That's why we want to make it our intro into horror movie review. It was it an indie film? It was an indie film, right?
It was an indie film directed by
Jennifer
lady director.
Kent?
Yes, Jennifer Kent. You go, girl.
I know.
This movie was gorgeous. It hit on some great themes. It was very, very, like, it built a lot of tension. The acting was wonderful.
It was a lot of, like, one of my pet peeves with horror films, too, is just going for the big, like, boo scares. It was a lot of it wasn't really any of that. It was a lot of, like, just real creepy classic, you know, the door creaking, shadows on the wall, like, the things that people are actually afraid of. It did so much of that and so little of the, you know, blood splatter in the window or just monster popping in your face. Yeah. I don't like those, and I don't, like, those don't stay with you after you watch the movie. You're just like, oh, you know, boo, that scared me, but haha, it was a man behind a mask. All Scooby-Doo style. But, when it's like a creaking door or a shadow on the wall, when you go to bed at night, you're like looking in your closet. I actually had to close my closet doors after I watched this movie. Because I was just like, oh my goodness, my clothes are going to look like Babadook.
Yeah, exactly. If I had the closet that I previously had, I would have to close it. Mm-hmm. Recently I moved to a place where the closet is always, you know, it's kind of like a walk-in through to the bathroom. So, you know, there's no closing that, but it's better because it's just like a hallway. So
it can't like creep you out when you're laying in bed.
No, I know what's in there, I think. I guess.
I know you.
But do you want to read the synopsis?
The IMDb one?
Sure.
Sure. A single mother plagued by violent death of her husband battles with her son's fear of a monster lurking in the house, but soon discovers a sinister presence all around her. And that's just kind of the tip of the iceberg with what actually is going on in the story. But I don't want to spoil while we're still talking about highlights and stuff.
Right. So I mean, it's difficult to not spoil it because all my highlights are spoilers, basically. I mean,
well, it's a lot of like just basically this woman. I think she's an orderly. And she has one of those really stressful jobs. She has a child who I find absolutely delightful. But yeah, being a single mom, dealing with the grief of her husband dying.
You thought he was delightful?
He was delightful. I would love to have him as a child. Such imagination. Always building these crazy contraptions, and he's always doing these magic shows, and
he would be immediately destroyed.
He would be really,
in my house.
But like, I mean, I could see if I was a single mom with no one else to help me, yeah, he would be a handful, absolutely. He wakes up constantly in the middle of the night with bad dreams, always terrified, always has to sleep with his mother. He
interrupts her private time.
There's a scene where she tries to, like, masturbate, and the kid comes screaming in because of bad dreams.
It's like, come on, this is my last chance for happiness, child.
I mean, yeah, I think the kid was great, but it seems like everybody else in the world thought he was just an absolute nuisance.
Everybody else in the world. I mean, that's
child. Every review
you
I
like
see,
Yotsuba, so
yeah, I do.
That makes
Yotsuba.
sense. You basically want a
be
child with mental disorders.
That would be my dream child. We'd go on adventures every day. But yeah, so he's a complete handful, but at the same time, she's also got like not a great life. Like I said, she's an orderly. She's been missing a lot of work in the thing, so she's like in trouble at work. She's just not doing good. Her and her sister aren't doing so well because the two kids don't get along. You know that there's that birthday scene with the the cousin, and the cousin makes fun of the little boy because he doesn't have a father, and the little boy was he push her out of a treehouse or something?
Yeah, he pushes her out of a treehouse because she's a little jerk. And also all those moms kind of do the same thing to the mother, God. Where it was like super awkward. And
I hate what is that called? It's like the hen effect on women.
The hen effect?
Yeah, where they all become like, when a bunch of mothers get together, they start like clucking like hens about all the dumbest things in the world, and because of course mother knows best, they all think their own personal opinion is the right one. And so if you don't follow that exact like formula that all the hens are following, if you're like a red hen when they're all white hens, they're just like, something's wrong with this woman.
Yeah, and I mean, it was kind of a what am I trying to say, a hyperbolized situation, because, I mean, it was stuff like that. Of course that happens, but that was cartoonishly evil almost.
Yeah. But it's just trying to get out real quick. I mean, I see it was like a... Oh, I wouldn't call it a literary device, because this is a movie.
Well, they're just trying to make sure that you get it right away.
Yeah, you get that she doesn't fit in. Things aren't good in her life. She's not a happy mother like you're supposed to be when you have a child. That bright, glowing. She's not that. She's not loving it.
No, she's not dealing with things very well.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I want to kind of get into the highlights, which we might have some spoilers in there.
All right, so then I guess this would just be a nice spoiler alert.
Yeah.
Spoilers
so watch it first, please.
Abandon all hope, ye who enter.
Yeah, so spoilers like crazy.
I just imagine like a gun shooting, spoiler, spoiler, spoiler.
Yeah, there's like fireworks and
yeah.
guns with flags that come out. So basically this whole film is an allegory and a metaphor for a mother's mental illness and how she deals with her child and
grief.
And grief.
Yeah.
And anger because she wishes she wasn't left there with him.
Basically, I don't know if we said the son died the father died the exact day the son was born. Like, he died on the way to driving her to give birth. He wasn't the one that gave birth.
No, he's a seahorse, man.
But he died the same day the child was born, and so ever since then there's been a little bit of resentment on the mother's part of, like, you know, it's the son's fault. The father's dead. Plus, the son just reminds her of the father constantly, because the father was a magician too, and so everything the kid does, like everything he does in life, it just keeps reminding her of the child or the father.
Yeah, this great. I mean, basically, she felt like her life ended as soon as her husband died.
But unfortunately, it has to keep going on, and she has this child that she has to take care of. Otherwise, I think she probably would have just committed suicide a long time ago.
Maybe, because I don't think she can get over that without a lot of therapy. Mm-hmm. So basically, what happens is her kid's really difficult to deal with, and one day they receive a pop-up book.
They don't receive it; it just magically appears in his.
Oh, that's right.
Bookshelf.
It's in their bookshelf.
Yeah, he's
somehow.
like, read me a bedtime story, and it's just there, like grief. It's always hiding.
Yes. So she reads this scary bedtime story and freaks her kid out, even though he picked it out, jerk.
I know.
All the pictures are like Tim Burton-esque pop-up
that
style
book
drawings.
Is pretty fantastic too.
It's fantastic. And actually, it kind of reminded me of Shel Silverstein too, but it's kind of creeps within both of their minds as they sleep. So sleep is impossible in this film.
And the creeping in the mind, you bring that up, I actually think that's really, like, the whole point of the Babadook is it's like, I think they even made it rhyme so that it's like a song you can't get out of your head. And the more you think about it or the more you try to deny it, like that Lullaby book by Chuck Palahniuk, do you remember that one?
Yeah.
It's like the more you try to, like, not say the rhyme, the more it, like, comes up in the back of your head.
Exactly. So that, you know, it kind of eats away at her psyche, you know, and she's kind of envisioning monstrous things happening in the house or to her son, and, you know.
Yeah, and it's got a lot of good points. Like, one of my absolute favorite scenes is because, you know, the thing about the Babadook is supposed to be the more you try to deny him, like I said, the stronger he gets. Like, the more you ignore him, the stronger he gets. So she, like, rips up the book, tears it up, it comes back to her, like, glued back together, and she gets a phone call with this, like, creepy voice. And so then she goes to the cops, right? Because she's just like, oh, someone's doing this to me. My absolute favorite part is, like, in the background when she's talking to the cops.
Oh, yeah, he's back there.
But it's not even like, oh, it's just a shadow that looks like it. You see, like, it's just a coat and a hat hanging on the wall, and that's kind of Babadook's silhouette. but you see these long, black, like, trash can bag looking fingers slowly edge their way out of the arm cuffs of the jacket, like Babadook is entering the scene. I was like, oh my god, I was lost at that point. It was so good.
It's great. And one thing to touch up on the imagery, all of the horrific imagery is staged and kind of presented like the pop-up book itself, which is like an amazing production design choice. All of the, like, it's just filmed so well, and it's just staged in like the perfect way to make it as creepy as possible.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, I think it's brilliant.
Yeah, and I think, like, there's a lot of theories out there about what this is all about, but of course, I mean, the one that the actual director said, oh, it's dealing with grief. But I do like one point, like, so she wasn't dealing with her grief, right? She wasn't dealing with her problems, and that's why they were just getting worse and worse and worse. Like, she even had a doctor tranquilize her child at night because she couldn't deal with him. And her problems just kept getting worse because she kept ignoring them, so Babadook kept getting worse. I do like the scene, like the first part of the scene where the Babadook possesses her, because he's almost, I mean, he is her grief incarnate, basically. But the first thing she does as the Babadook, as he possesses her, because he's at his strongest point, she kills the dog because the dog was getting on her nerves. There's like a tooth she's been having problems with, because like in the whole scene of the movie, she'd like eat ice cream and like kind of hold her jaw. You know there's like a bad tooth she has. So she like rips out her own tooth, and then she goes, grabs a knife, and like that's when she starts looking at the child, because the Babadook is getting rid of all of her problems. But that's not what you're supposed to do. That's what happens when you let grief take over you. You do stupid stuff.
Yeah, and I feel like it's not just grief. It's also
it's
postpartum
like,
depression issue that went on forever.
Yeah, it was grief. It's mental illness. It's her pent up aggression. It's just everything that she's been holding in coming out. But I like that when she let the monster take over, like, she was taking care of her problems, but in the wrong way. Like, ripping out your tooth is not smart. Killing your dog is not good. Trying to murder your child is not good.
No, in most instances, no.
No. Except for the case if you're like a Lannister and your child is Joffrey, that's
that would be cool. Yeah, we can't go off on that tangent. So basically, by the end of the film, you know, it's kind of gone out of proportion. She realizes that this is something that she feels inside of her own mind. She really loves her son. She doesn't want to hurt him. So
well,
she just...
actually, I do. There is one point where the child is trying to save her, because it's the child who ends up saving her. Like, he tricks her into going down to the basement and ties her up until she can get over this. And then the child even says, like, Mama, I know you don't love me anymore, but I still love you. Yeah. And I think that was the point where she realized, like, she was no longer seeing the child as her child. She was just seeing him as this unknown entity that she had to take care of. And when he said, I know you don't love me, I think that's when it kind of hit her. Like, no, definitely. I didn't love him, but I do love him. Like, it was like a turning point.
Sure.
Sort of.
Yeah, exactly. So she kind of faces the monster with him. And sort of a happy ending. I mean, she still has to deal with everything.
Well, but that's the point. I mean...
She learns to deal with it.
Yeah, you don't become a new person overnight. You have to. And I love the scene, too, where she's gardening and she pulls out the worms and feeds them to the Babadook. Because it's literally saying that phrase, when you tend your garden, means you're dealing with your issues. It's
right.
Like, it's a thing. So she was literally putting that metaphor in there so you could physically see, like, she is not a changed person, but she is taking care of her issues. Like, she has admitted that she has a problem, and now she's doing something about it. So Babadook will always be with you. I mean, it says it in the book, Babadook never leaves.
Yes.
But you can manage him as long as you acknowledge he is there. It's when you try to ignore him that it becomes a problem.
Right, and since the little boy knows about it too, he's also giving her some more space, and they know how to work with each other to make sure that Babadook doesn't come back in a big way.
Oh my god, I love that scene when the Child Protection Services comes and they're like, "Well, I'm having my first birthday. She used to knock me out to go to sleep."
And it's like,
and the mom's just like,
what? I didn't knock him out. Anyway, she's terrific. Who were the actors in the film?
Jennifer Kent was the director. Let's see. The actors were Essie Davis was the main woman.
Fantastic.
And I think the little boy was Noah Wiseman.
Okay. Yeah. Great job, you guys.
Yeah, Essie Davis deserves. I don't keep up with awards, but all the awards,
all of them.
Whatever they are, all of them should go to her. She did such a fantastic job of just going
capturing
from
this mental distress.
And yet still keeping that strong, because you and I both love those strong motherly, I will protect my child kind of thing.
Yeah,
and
get away from her, you bitch.
She goes from I hate my child to get out of my house. This is my house. This is my child. You will not touch him. And I don't know. She does a fantastic job.
Yeah, I mean, if the Oscars ever gave any awards to genre films, then she would definitely get one because she was amazing. All around, really awesome movie. I really, really loved it, and yeah. Do you have any final thoughts on it? Do you want to rate?
Oh yeah, we were gonna rate. We have between 1 to 10, 1 being Picnic at Hanging Rock, and 10 being Rosemary's Baby. What would you say this is?
So just backing up a little bit, why do we say 1 is Picnic at Hanging Rock when it's such a highly regarded film?
Criterion Collection.
If
you actually
it's
sit down and watch it, you'll realize it's one of the absolute worst films that were ever created. It's just people wandering around in a field going, "Hey, where'd these girls go?"
No, okay, so it's not a bad movie, but it's general regard. It's such a highly regarded film.
And it's kind of like that Toad Road movie that I was just telling you about. It was totally misadvertised.
No, it was completely advertised.
No, I mean, but the synopsis we read of it was just oh, these girls disappear in this mysterious aura of something and find out what it was. And you don't find out what it was. You have no idea what happens to these girls.
I don't think it ever promises that you're going to find out. Basically, it has a quote. It has subtitles on the screen when it starts. It says, in whatever year it was, these girls disappear from Hanging Rock, or at Hanging Rock, and then that's what happens.
Yeah.
That is the problem. Nothing happens.
I would almost compare it to Fire in the Sky if Fire in the Sky didn't have that epic finale.
Well, Fire in the Sky had the scariest abduction scene I've ever seen.
But that's the epic finale. But the whole movie up to that is just what happened to this guy? Where did he go? I think you guys took him. No, we didn't take him. Oh, he's back. Did you guys beat him up and traumatize him? No, we didn't do it. And then you see what happened to him. But the whole hour and a half before that is Picnic and Hanging Rock. But it had that one piece that Picnic and Hanging Rock didn't have, which was some point of awesomeness.
Yeah.
Picnic at Hanging Rock never had that moment that made watching the whole movie worthwhile.
No, and I mean, it's such a highly regarded director and everything, and the costumes, the filmmaking aspect is gorgeous. But I mean, I guess is it based on a true story? I don't know. But that's all you're going to see. Great costumes.
And I think that's why they never explained what happened, is because, what happened to those girls was never figured out.
Yeah, and I hear people talk about how, it really creeps them out, and
I don't know why.
Maybe we're just jaded or something, but
I don't know why.
No way.
You go hiking in the woods, you don't always disappear.
Well, maybe if you're wearing a bonnet.
It is a possibility.
I think you have to be wearing your school's bonnet.
Yeah, that would probably be the
Anyway, it was just such an overwhelming disappointment to us.
Yeah. Like I said, Fire in the Sky did the same thing, but I love Fire in the Sky because it did have that one scene that made the whole movie worthwhile.
Yeah.
So Picnic at Hanging Rock would be our 1 or possibly our 0.
Yes.
Rosemary's Baby would be our 10 because great production, great story,
It is amazing.
Great acting. Everything about that film was fantastic. It was not only was it like supernatural, but it was super psychological.
One of the best thrillers I've ever. I mean,
that movie's just straight up 10 all around. So that's why that's our 10.
Yes.
So that being said, where would you place Babadook on that rating system?
Well, I'm probably gonna say
no points. I don't believe in decimals.
Well, then I guess I'm gonna have to say this might sound pretty harsh, but I'm gonna say 7 because I really liked it. But there's no way it can be as close to Rosemary's Baby as being like an 8 or a 9. But I really thought, I mean, it's going to be difficult to get me to do an 8 or a 9 here, I think.
Yeah. That's actually, I was landing on a 7 as well.
But that's a good thing. Like, it was great.
And I actually would classify it's almost the same kind of film as Rosemary's Baby when it talks about, like, mother's grief, paranoia, like, I don't know, those two were actually had quite a few parallels. And
sure.
in actuality, like, being the one person against the world kind of scenario. Like,
right.
Like all the other mothers in Babadook were just like, oh, having children's wonderful. And she's just like, no, it's not.
It's kind of the worst. Yeah, so, I mean, that was my rating, 7.
Yeah, so,
which is a good one.
Yeah. And I was actually bordering on, like, 7 or 8, but I think... I think I'm going to stick with the 7, just because Rosemary's Baby feels like it needs to be on such a higher tier than, like, most of the other movies there are, period. So I can't really think of many other movies I would rate as a 10, like, that I've seen today, other than maybe The Exorcism would be. Maybe.
The Exorcism of Emily Rose?
No, Exorcist, sorry.
Oh, yeah. Exorcist.
Emily Rose is totally my favorite movie.
The Shining, probably.
Oh, yeah, The Shining.
I rate that as a 10.
Yeah.
And then, of course, my 10, the Gore Verbinski's The Ring.
I don't think I'd make that a 10, but yeah, it's definitely good. But yeah, The Shining, Exorcist. I can't think of any others that would be up there with Rosemary's Baby. Oh, excuse me. No, my absolute favorite would be Ghostbusters. Hello.
That's not a horror film.
It's got ghosts.
Okay, so Casper with Christina Ricci also is considered a horror film in your view?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, well.
You know, there are those mean ghosts.
Sure. Haunted Mansion too.
So any other recommendations in the same mindset of Babadook? My only one would be like Rosemary's Baby. Watch that. That's fantastic. If you haven't already seen it.
Totally. I'm going to recommend something that's out in theaters now. If you can see it,
I hate
do
you
it.
And your ability to have money to go see movies.
My ability to have money to go see movies.
Mm-hmm. I got to get me some of that.
You can also download it, I think, from iTunes or something. It Follows came out a couple weeks ago. It was making a lot of headlines in the film festival circuit, and I had been excited to see it ever since. Finally saw it. It's really good. And maybe we can discuss that sometime on the podcast.
Yeah, when it comes to Netflix. Or Amazon. I don't know. When it comes to video, I'll probably rent it on Prime.
At screenings.
Okay, and so then the last thing, do you want to pick our next film we'll talk about next time?
Sure. Let's do Starry Eyes.
Okay.
That
one will be on Netflix, so that one's...
It just came out on Netflix like 2 days ago, so watch it. It's a really cool movie. It was a Kickstarter movie, and these directors are really hot right now because
they're so hot.
They're so hot right now. And I got to see this a screening at the Egyptian because that's where they have screenings of things. I think it was at Fantastic Fest, and it was awesome. Yeah.
Okay, so next time we'll talk about Starry Eyes.
Excellent.
All right. I think that sums it up. Thank you for sitting with us on episode number 1 as we fumbled our way through it.
Yes, sorry for the rocky start. Hopefully we'll have everything organized next time.
we hadn't even planned what we were going to say.
No. And I'd like maybe some more jokes. I don't know.
Jokes? We'll start making jokes about the horror films.
Yeah, I mean, once we start seeing more movies that are... I mean, Babadook was kind of serious.
Yeah.
But we'd also like to do more fun titles because I'm a huge John Carpenter fan. And
one that I have on my list, Odd Thomas, that one's like lighthearted, but it's still in the kind of dark horror genre. So lighthearted, fun. Devil's Carnival too. Gonna be.
Yeah, I'd like to do Prince of Darkness, and that was sheer delight. Let me tell you.
That Prince of Darkness. He's such a delightful person.
So delightful. I mean, as soon as the credits started, my heart swelled. I was like, what a charming film. Anyway, we'll see you next time, Monica.
All right, see ya.
Bye.